All right, so to continue on this, I would like to get a little bit of the original lighting from the mug in front here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to basically make a copy of the mug here. All right. Oop, all the clipping masks kind of undid themselves. So let's go ahead and hold on the Alt key and put all that back in here. That's fine. Good. There we go. All right. And take the mug and let's bring it above the woman here. Okay. And what I actually want is just, you know, these little lights over here, some of the refraction and so on. So not the refraction, but the reflections. So I'm going to go ahead and make this Command U desaturated completely. Okay. And then I'm going to put it in screen mode and put a mask in front. And I'll take a brush. I just want it really right in here, right where we added the woman. So go ahead and just add some over here. There we go. You see that? A little bit of lighting from the original mug there. I don't want it too much at the top here because it's lightening this area. So that's fine. Something like this. Okay, good. There we go. Okay. So once we have that, we're going to add a reflection now. So let's go in here, mug. So that's this entire thing here. And notice that it's in front of the leaf. We'll fix that in a second. But for now, let's make a duplicate of this group here. And then doing Command E, or if you go to Layer and Merge Group, that flattens this group. So that's good. And then we're going to displace it. So Command T and then right click and flip vertical. And I'll just bring it down here. Bring it all the way so it just snaps. And then maybe using the arrow keys, 1 or 2 steps up. I did 3. Hit return. Okay, good. Maybe a little bit higher. So click on the move tool here. Use the arrow keys. It's pretty easy to just do a couple steps like that. Bring it, make sure, so let's call this mug reflection. Bring it underneath the mug here. Okay. Okay. Now, a couple of things. I would actually line it up to here, so it's a little higher, something like this. All right, so like right there on the point. Now these, theoretically, if there's a proper reflection, it would go up to here. So we're gonna have to do this manually. So take the marquee tool and make a selection till right here. Well, actually, first, before we do this, select all, okay, and then Command J, so layer, new layer via copy, all right? So what that did was, in this mug reflection, if I do Command T, and I'll zoom out, notice that it has the entire cup. I actually just want this part. I don't want it to go all the way down. So to cut out what's out of here, I select everything, select the canvas, make a new layer out of that, which leaves us with just this area. And now I can go ahead and delete this. Rename this mug reflection, like so. All right, let's zoom in again. All right, so once we have that, make a selection right here in the corner, and then hit Command T. Well, actually, undo that. Escape. You want it to be as close to the edge here as possible. So something like this. I hit the Alt key to minus that bit of the selection, and then Command T. And now, and I'll have to do this again. Hit Escape. Try to get it as close as possible to what we're selecting. All right. A little more. You don't want less. You want more. And then Command T. And now you can, holding down the Command and Shift key, I can change this perspective completely, and I try to connect those 2 points. So something like this. And I hit return, deselect, Command D to deselect, and then I do the same here. So it's around here. So I'll make it a little bigger, and then I can shrink it, so it's easier to do it that way. So like this, then I hold down the Alt key, and I'm shrinking my selection to around here and here. It might be easier for me to just actually, I'm going to take it from right before here so I don't affect the handle at all. And now I hit Command T, and up it goes, something like that. Okay, now it looks a little weird from this close. Command D to deselect. And we've got a little problem over here, so let's go ahead and fix that. Let's take the clone stamp tool and a pretty soft brush. So that's pretty good, 850. And let's just take a part here and clone over it. I'm just trying to make it slightly seamless. This is all going to get blurred anyway as a reflection, but it's still nice to not have too many imperfections. Okay, so we created the reflection layer, and so now we're going to make a little glow on this. But let's turn this into a smart object first, like so. Okay, and then let's put this in 75% opacity for now, and then go filter, blur gallery, field blur. Now, why do I use field blur? The reason I'm using field blur is because you can, so this is a point right now, it's at 15% blur, okay? It's a pretty lengthy process, especially if you have a big file, but it creates the best results. So what I want it to be somewhat sharp over here and somewhat blurry over here. So I'm going to take my blur point and bring it all the way down here. And then I'm going to click right here with the little plus symbol, and it's going to add a point. This point, which I can adjust right here, I'm going to say 0 blur. And you'll see that it'll maintain sharpness. And in this one, I actually want very blurry, so like 50. All right. Now notice it's doing a progressive blur from sharp to blurry. So I'm actually really happy with that result. Okay, and so it's a takes a while to kind of process this, but it's definitely worth it. Hit OK, and this is going to render for a little bit. So I'll take it right after. In the next lesson, we'll take it right after this blur.